Being a good person takes you absolutely nowhere. Being too trusting would ensure your downfall. Being too naive is definitely the worst thing that you can do in this day and age. These are unfortunately sentences that I've heard more more than times I can remember in the last couple of months itself. I would not say I've been part of conversations. In fact, I've been the center of conversations when things like, you can't be too trusting, you can't be too naive, we can't really believe you could have let something like that happen to you, have, have made a place in my heart and mind. And the way I'm saying it, I'm sure you realize that these have been anything but compliments. Since I've heard it so many times now, every time I try to make a conversation with somebody, this pretty much comes up in some form or the other, which is why I think I'm here to sort of unpack my feelings, share my feelings, and really you know, try to find an answer to whether being a good human, does it really take you somewhere? Or is it a short way of making sure that the world walks all over you?
Yes, I've been naive. Yes, I've trusted people. In hindsight, people who didn't really deserve it. And yes, I've been bruised more than once. And with all the conversations that I've had in the recent past, I think there have been so many days when it's really hurt me when I've, woken up in the middle of night and thought to myself that the world is nice. The world is the world is right when they say that you can't be nice because nice gets you nowhere. When I started counting every time my softness was taken for granted, when every time someone mistook my kindness for weakness. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one in this boat, and there have been so many of you out there who've also thought to yourself that being nice gets you nowhere, being kind is definitely a weakness. And I'm sure in all of such moments, just like me, you've felt tempted to kind of toughen up, to change yourself, to stop seeing people through the lens of empathy and start playing the so called game to get ahead in life. However, each time this has happened with me, I've managed to stop myself. I've managed to stop myself because deep down, I really, really know that I don't want to be the person ever, ever in this lifetime whoever even gets to know what it feels like to hurt someone intentionally, to ensure that you're doing the absolute most wicked thing to some other person with absolute intention. I'd rather not know what it feels like to be a bad person at all. Mind you, I'm fully aware that I cannot be a person who never hurts somebody. But the underlying thought over here is I'd rather not live with the guilt of manipulating or abusing someone's trust with full consciousness. And I think that's what makes the difference. I've never really known how to be bad because I've never really grown around people who've used other people to gain advantage or to get somewhere in life by abusing them or using them in whatever capacity. Not because I'm unaware of how the world works, but because I choose not to be like the others. Because the people I've grown up with, I've grown around, have made those conscious calls at each time they've found themselves at these crossroads. It's not innocence. I choose to not call this innocence, but rather integrity. And that's exactly how I feel everybody should be looking at it. Because a lot of times people try to justify things that they're doing to other people consciously, to hurt them intentionally, to bring upon the worst kind of pain to others. They try to justify it by saying that it's the only way. That's the only way they could sleep at night. And I think that's what makes the underlying difference between a good human and a bad human. Not innocence, but integrity. The choice of doing the right thing. I've seen how manipulation looks up close, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it too. People pretending to care about people, playing both sides, being very nice to X, but also being very nice to Y, where X and Y don't really get along. Twisting truths for convenience. You know, all of these tactics, all of these very manipulative tactics, which people might label under diplomacy, makes people feel powerful, but it's only for a while. Because I'm sure you've seen it too that these tactics make you feel nothing but empty on the inside. Because when you start using people, you stop connecting with them. When you treat relationships as transactions, you really lose the ability to feel deeply, to feel any emotion in your life. And I think that's what stops me. That's something I never want to become. I don't ever want to lose the part of me, the one that feels, that trusts, that believes, that tries to understand what other people are going through, that tries to understand and connect with people on a deep and very meaningful level. Because it's very important to stay human when anything and everything happening in this world tries to toughen us up. So I guess despite all the conversations, all the hardships, I'll never apologize for trusting people. I'll never apologize for seeing the good before the bad. I'll never ever apologize for leading with love, even when it hurts. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather be the person who got hurt for being kind than someone who hurt others and called it being smart. Kindness might not always win in this world, but it keeps you human. And I'll always choose humanity, the warmth, the depth in relationships over strategy, over manipulation, over control. If you've ever in life been made to feel small for being too soft, for trusting too easily, for believing in people, I implore you, please do not change. They might call it naive, but we know it. It's called being human, being real. If you've ever been hurt, if you've ever been used at the hands of people who find relationships anything but transactional, please remind yourselves that they know nothing better than that. And you have been blessed to know what it feels like to trust other people, to see the good in people. I'm not sure how many such people are left in the world, but it's very important, very, very, very important for the ones who still feel connection, depth, trust in relationships to not change at all. In a world that started glorifying being ruthless, I'm here to remind you, however many times the world bruises you, please be somebody who still trusts, who still loves, who still treats people with empathy, rather than being someone who plays it dirty. And this, by all means, applies to your personal relationships, to your families, to your work relationships, to your colleagues, to everybody that you come across. Don't ever make you feel small for being too nice. The world deserves more such people. The world needs more such people.